everybody, this is Black Girl World. I am Organic Sister. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you are well. Today's video is actually the first in a women's health series. I'm very excited to release that for you, and I'm just going to address a couple of topics concerning women's health and reproductive health, just because I think it's important. I mean, this is Black Girl World, so I feel like why not talk about what's going on in a Black Girl World? That's the name of the channel, right? So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right. So today's topic is, what is your period? What's going on during your period? What's going on in your body? What is your period? What is your menstrual cycle? Let me just break that down for you real quick. So first of all, why do we even have a period? Let's address that first. Why do we even have a period? What is the point of a period? The point of a period is because it's just to get pregnant. It's to prepare for pregnancy. That's it. That's the only reason why we're going through all this stuff once a month. Why we're going through all this bleeding stuff is so that way we can get pregnant and have a baby and, procreate, reproduce, whatever. So a typical cycle is about 28 days. Some women, it's a 27 days. Some women go up to 30 days or whatever, but it's usually about 28. On day one of your menstrual cycle, right? So what's going on in day one, that's the day that you are bleeding. That's the day that your period comes. So your estrogen and your progesterone levels are low. Estrogen and progesterone are the two main hormones that are responsible for the women's cycle. So at this point right now, they are very low. You are bleeding. You're probably feeling miserable. So now somewhere around day 3 to day 7, depending on your cycle, like I said before, some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. So somewhere around day 3 or day 7, depending on your cycle, your ovaries start making estrogen. So what happens is that as the estrogen levels are going up, they start making more and more estrogen. Your estrogen now is starting to tell your body that, okay, now it's time to stop bleeding. The period is over, stop bleeding. All right, so stop bleeding. So what we'll start to notice is that your period will start getting lighter and lighter, and eventually it'll stop. Now, somewhere around day 14, that's usually as ovulation day, I call it. So your estrogen levels are pretty high, and now it's telling your ovaries to mature a follicle that will later develop into an egg. In the meantime, your progesterone your progesterone levels are going higher and higher. And what happens with this is that it causes the thick mucus in your cervix to thin out. So what's going on over here is that so this is why that some women will start to notice, certain discharge around this time of the month. And a lot of people describe this discharge as having the consistency of egg whites. So yeah, and that thinning and shedding of the cervical mucus is what helps Mr. Sperm find Miss Egg later on. Like Mr. Sperm, find his way through up in there when he's looking for Miss Egg. So the fallopian tube at this point now is bringing the egg into the uterus, where the egg will just sit there and she'll wait until Mr. Sperm to show up and fertilize. In the meantime, the estrogen is going to cause the lining of the uterus to get thicker and thicker and thicker. And it's doing that in anticipation of, maybe there might be a baby this month. We'll see. So the lining of the uterus is getting thicker. At this time, the body is bringing in fluids and blood, extra tissue into the uterus, and is making a nice, cozy, warm spot for, the baby, if there is a baby going to be there. And this is what's going on every single month. So now say Mr. Sperm doesn't show up. For some reason, whatever, he just doesn't show up. So next couple of days, your estrogen levels and your progesterone levels start to drop. And for some women, this can cause symptoms of PMS or PMD. For the most part, though, you probably just feel tired, feel fatigue, and, decline in your mood and or your energy. So Mr. Sperm doesn't show up. All that blood and tissue and fluids that were building up in your uterus, including the thick lining of your uterus, how it's getting thicker and thicker. Now what's going to happen is that your uterus is going to start to contract. And it's going to push all that stuff out of your body. This brings us back to day 1, to the first day of your period. So that pain, that cramping that you feel, usually you feel like in the front or sometimes your lower back, your legs, that is the uterus contracting and bringing all that blood down and out of your body. So that basically is the whole cycle. Sorry about that. My battery was starting to die. My phone was letting me know I had 5% left, so I had to plug it in real quick. But anyway, so like I was saying, so different ways that you can deal with the pain management. You could take painkillers. You can take Advil, Motrin, Tylenol, Aleve, any, some over-the-counter painkiller like that, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, naproxen. I'm more, me, I prefer more like natural alternatives. So what I find to be very helpful is a heating pad. The thing about the heating pad is it requires you to stay laying down. So yeah, you can use a heating pad on, the area where you feel the pain. That helps. Drinking ginger tea or ginger and turmeric tea. That's really good. Because it's anti-inflammatory. I find like if you do the tea with a heating pad, that really helps a lot. You can do pelvic massages. Some people do pelvic massages, in the days leading up to your period. I wouldn't recommend doing it on your period just because it can make the bleeding worse. So yeah, do it on the days leading up to your period. Another thing you can do, which I think is a really great idea, is yoni steaming, also known as vaginal steaming. I'm not going to get into detail about that right now, just because I do plan on making a full entire video on yoni steaming, the benefits, how-tos, and what herbs you could use, and the benefits of yoni steaming. So I'm good. That's going to come later on. Is it going to be part of the series? I'm not sure yet. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, yoni steaming is another great alternative to managing the pain. So that's basically your cycle. I want to quickly go over things that you could do to help with the bleeding, because, we are bleeding, and, some people, some women free bleed. That's a new thing I'm learning about now. I don't know how new it is, but this is something that I've been learning about. Free bleeding, we're just letting the blood come out and putting a towel on your bed or something. To each his own. That's not for me. So right here now, I have in front of me, I've got pads. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with this. Tampons. A little lesser known is the Diva Cup right over here. And this period panty over here is by a brand called Thinx, I believe. Thinx. All right. I'm just going to briefly go over each one, the pros and cons and all that stuff. So your pad right over here. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the pad. You open it, you put it on your underwear. This one has wings, so you fold the wings around so that way it stays in place and doesn't bunch up in the middle. And this is the overnight one, so it's got like back wings, so it goes over the back of the underwear, which I like a lot. This one over here is by a brand called Elle. It's made for women by women. Just so you know, I'm not sponsored to do any of this. So this is just giving you my own experience of, I'm just want to give you my own experience of these products over here and let you know what your options are. So this one over here is an all natural brand. It's made out of cotton and I think walnut shells, if I remember correctly. This is what I'm currently using right now. Yes, I use a pad. And I like this one because it's ultra thin. And so when you put this on, because it's made out of pure cotton, you put this on, it almost feels like you're not wearing a pad. I used to use like the mainstream brands back in the day, and when I first switched to this one, I remember going into a little mini panic, thinking like, "Oh my God, I'm not wearing a pad." But I actually was. It feels like your underwear because it's cotton. It's made of cotton, so that's a plus. So some of the pros of wearing a pad is that you can see how much you're bleeding every month. Some people want to know, some people don't want to know. Whatever. It's external, so it's nothing like to go into your body or whatever. So that's some of the pros. Some of the cons for some people, it could be uncomfortable, especially on hot days, having to remember to change it. Sometimes the wings do not stay in place, unfortunately, and you get some blood on your underwear, on your sheets, or whatever. So you have to deal with that. So that's the pad right over here. But for me, personally, I prefer the pad. It also helps too after having a baby when you have to bleed, when you're bleeding, whatever. So that's the pad. The next one, a lot of people are familiar with, is a tampon. So what the tampon is, This one goes inside your vagina. It has like an applicator. Let me actually open this one so you can see, because I know there are probably people out there who are not familiar with tampons. So I'm just gonna show you. This is the Playtex brand, made by Always. I don't use it because they use chemicals, and that's another thing I could mention later on. But this is the applicator right here for the tampon. And like I say, this is your vagina right over here. I'm going to do like this. This is your vagina right over here. You push this part in here, and then you just stick it up and pull it out. And this is the part that gets left behind and inside your vagina that collects. It's supposed to absorb the blood that when you're bleeding. And then later on, when you're ready to change it, the string kind of just hangs out outside of your body. And when you're ready to change it, you just pull it out. And then, and then you change it. See? Okay. So, so one thing I wanted to mention with this over here is that I like this all natural one, because I don't know if you're aware of extreme brands. What they have, they put acetone in there and stuff, and there's a bunch of other chemicals and other like recycled trash that I've heard, and there's a bunch of stuff you don't want like in your body or coming in contact with your lady part, because you gotta understand this area over here, your vagina, your womb, all that is sacred, man. It is sacred. It is a special sacred spot in the woman's body. It brings life into this world. It's private. So, but anyway, so you do not want like foreign, unknown chemicals and stuff going in there messing your whole thing up, because that could actually mess with your cycle and make things worse. So some of the pros of wearing a tampon, excuse me, okay, sorry about that. My daughter wanted to participate in this video, I guess. So she should be asleep. I'm just gonna sit over here and feed her while I finish this up, okay? While I wrap things up. Here you go, honey. All right. So, where was I? So yes, I was talking about tampons. So some of the pros of tampons is that it's more discreet and it's a little bit more comfortable. It goes inside your body. It is more discreet. And you don't have to worry about feeling the big pad there, whatever. You can walk around. You can wear a thong with it if that's what you want to do. You can even go swimming with a tampon in if you know. So that's some of the pros. Some of the cons is that, first of all, you have this piece of string that's hanging outside of your body. I have heard stories of women who wear shorts or whatever, and they have this piece of string hanging out, and somebody unsuspecting, some poor unsuspecting soul sees it as a piece of thread or a piece of string, whatever, that's just hanging off your clothing, and they pull it off, and I think it comes right out. I've heard of that before. That's actually pretty funny and embarrassing, humiliating, totally. Another con, a big con is the fact that wearing tampons increases your chances of there is a chance of developing toxic shock syndrome, TSS. That comes from wearing a tampon inside of your body, and I think it comes from like the fibers or like having this stuff. I mean, this is chemicals, and it's just like having something in your body, and whatever this chemical stuff is made out of. There are all natural brands of tampons, but you still run the risk of developing TSS. And that usually comes when you wear tampons for over a certain amount of time, and you wear the absorbency that is like you're wearing a higher absorbency than what you need. So what I mean by that is that tampons and pads come with certain absorbencies depending on where you are with your cycle. So you'll see like the super ones for like the heavier days, and the regular ones for the regular days, and the lighter ones for light days. Here you go, baby girl. She refuses to go to sleep. I don't know why. So yeah, that is what's going on with the tampon. Those are the pros and cons that I can think of right now. So the next, here, baby girl. So your next option is the Diva cup. This right over here, and also known as the menstrual cup. This over here, I was using this for a little while. I've used this for a couple of months, and then I stopped. And so basically how it works, right? And I'll explain to you why I stopped. So how it works is that This goes inside your body, similar to like a tampon. What you'll do is you're supposed to squeeze it like this. You squeeze it like that, and then you fold it like this, almost like a C shape, right? And then you put this inside. This is your vagina again. You put this inside of your vagina like this. So put it in there. And it's supposed to pop into place like that. Okay? And then what happens is that fills up with blood during your cycle. And when you're ready, after the end of the day, you can wear this all day too. For up to, I think, 12 hours, you can wear this. You don't have to worry about anything. It's made out of silicone. There's nothing's going to be left behind in your body or whatever. So this fills up, fill up the cup. And then at the end, you just, this over here, you just pull it out. Like that. And then, so, all your blood will be in here, and then you just got to dump it out, rinse it out, and you can use it. You can use it again. Here, honey. Right, so some of the pros with that is that, first of all, you're saving a lot of money because it's something that you're going to wash and reuse each and every time. So you're not buying pads and tampons every single month. It does cost a little bit more. I forgot how much this thing costs. I want to say maybe around $20 or $30. I could be wrong on that. But it does cost a little bit more than just buying a pack of pads or tampons, but eventually it pays for itself. Think of how much money you're spending on pads or tampons every single month. And add that up at the end of the year, and then think about the one-time purchase of this. So, yeah. So, that's definitely a pro. Another pro is that, you want, it's comfortable. Well, I don't know how comfortable it is for some people, but another pro is that, it's, you can wear thongs with it. You can go swimming with it. It stays in place. If you're doing it right, if you're wearing it right, you don't have to worry about any leakages or anything like that. Now, the cons, and this is the reason why I stopped using it, is because, number one, there definitely is a learning curve. No matter how, you see how I just did it for you? You see how I just did it for you when, how I just showed you how it was done? So, one thing is that, it's definitely a learning curve. It could be tricky. It could be challenging. There have been times I've been sitting up there, especially like in a public bathroom, trying to get the thing to go in there and do it right. You don't even know if it's in right or not. That's one of the cons. Is that it's hard. It can be hard to put in, but once you practice, you get enough practice and you get good at it. It gets easier. It's from what I heard. Another con is that, yes, you will be dealing with your own blood here, a whole, cup of blood. And you will be dealing with your own blood over here. So you're going to have to empty this out and refill it, refill it with your own fluids, whatever. But you're going to have to empty it out, rinse it out, and stick it back in there. One good thing about it is that, because I know a lot of people are thinking, like, well, what if I'm in the public bathroom with stalls? I'm not going to walk out of here with a cup of blood. So you can leave it inside of you for up to 12 hours, I believe. So you don't even have to worry about all that. You can, put it in the morning, and then at the end of the day, you come take care of your business when you come home. So that's a really good thing. You don't have to worry about any of that. And so another good thing too is that since it's all the way inside your cervix, it goes all the way into your cervix. It goes into your vagina. Sorry. So this is all the way into your vagina. Your uterus doesn't have to contract as much to get the blood out, to push the blood out, to get it out, because it's just right there, and it flows freely into the cup. So I've heard other people say eventually that the cramps that they feel during their period has significantly been reduced, which is, I think, an amazing pro. So those are the pros and cons of that. So the last but not least over here on the alternatives is this underwear right over here. Now this comes with super absorbent core. I think it's made of like carbon, some kind of carbon material. It's supposed to absorb any odors. And it's just period pain. You're supposed to just wear this like regular underwear, and it's supposed to absorb all of the blood. Now, I will admit I have not used this yet. A friend of mine gave me some of these, but I got them after, when I was pregnant. So I haven't had my period yet. My daughter is, as you can see, my daughter is about a month old. My period hasn't come back yet because I'm breastfeeding. So when that does happen, I'll probably do a quick video and let you know how it works out. But basically the idea is that you wear it. You don't have to wear a pad or tampons at all, anything like that. You just bleed right into this underwear, and then you wash it and you reuse it again. So, I'm actually very curious to see how that works. And you're not gonna get that smell. It's not no leakage. You're not gonna feel the wetness or anything like that. Supposedly, we'll see how that goes. And that, my friends, is basically what is going on in your bodies during your period. You know, your period comes, how to deal with it, how to deal with pain management, what's going on hormonally. That's everything right there. Unfortunately, there are a number of women out there, especially but not limited to women of color, who have complications with this process, or conditions, associated with this process. So in the next few videos, I'm going to address the 3 most common reproductive issues that I've seen, which are PCOS, also known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, and endometriosis. So stay tuned for those videos coming out. If you want to know when these videos come out, you got to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so that way you'll be notified when they do come out. And if you feel like you learned something today, give me a like, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It helps my video move up in the YouTube world. So once again, I want to say thank you so much for joining me here today and having this really candid chit chat talk about, our woman parts. And stay tuned for the next couple of videos coming out in the series. Like I said, subscribe and hit the bell so that way you'll know when the next video comes out. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. She is knocked out right now. All right. I hope she sleeps through the night. So yeah. You gonna say bye? Yeah, she's going to sleep. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed, stay healthy, stay well.